Welcome to another episode highlighting the opportunities in the oil and gas industry. I'm Tiffany Rogers. This week, we look at how one local company, Eldorado Offshore, is building core competencies of workers who have basic skills to benefit from opportunities in the industry. Eldorado Offshore, EDO, is a local recruiting company that is building on capacities that already exist in the local workforce.
Eldorado Offshore is the manpower division of Rams Logistics. What we found with the developing oil and gas sector is that would have come a time where local content would have been the focus. So we actually were futuristic when we came up with this initiative, and we are sourcing young, talented, even some people who would have been veterans in the industry, not in the oil and gas industry, but in terms of working on other types of vessels, smaller vessels, and we use these guys and just build on their competencies through working with the energy companies and with their training requirements to ensure that the guys at least reach the first level of the mandatory trainings that are required by the energy companies.
Country Manager Kerry Graves-Andy said the response to EDO's efforts in the year since it was opened has been phenomenal.
We look for guys who would have had the basic safety training, and we capitalize on that and we build on those core competencies through our training partners in Trinidad. We even partner here with MatPol to do some of the initial basic safety training. So this is how we're able to find locals with that baseline.
More than 30 Guyanese are employed by Eldorado Offshore.
We have 20 guys on the Edison Swiss vessels, and on the Stena Karen we have 12 guys. So yes, for the Edison Swiss vessels, they would have had to go on through safety training as well. Their representatives would have come down to Guyana to do their training right here. In the case of Stena Karen, the guys needed to go to Trinidad because they require training standard for rig personnel. It's called OPITO, and at the moment we don't have any centers in Guyana that are OPITO certified. So essentially we need to send them to Trinidad to get this training. It's about 3 days. Medicals need to be completed before they can actually do the training. They need to be medically fit to do the training as well as to go on the vessel.
We're here on board the Stena Karen. This is the ship that is doing the exploration drilling for ExxonMobil and its partners. This is also the ship that some Guyanese have the opportunity to work on. Christopher Velosa, a University of Guyana graduate, told Minister Raphael Trotman working on the ship has been interesting.
I'm a university graduate in geological engineering. We did an introduction to petroleum geology before.
So
this is
taking
now
it
we're
from the
getting,
book to the reality.
yeah, and to be one of the first, at least technical guys from UG.
You have to make Guyana proud and the University of Guyana proud.
Definitely.
Other workers on the Stena had high praise for their work environment.
It's a bit challenging, but it's okay. The people are very friendly.
Yeah, I find it great. Stena has a great record, and it's a pleasure as a local person to be part of it.
Stena's rig manager, Callum Balfour, said ExxonMobil, its contractor, made it clear that local content must be utilized in its operations.
The issue we have, of course, is there's no real pool of labour here who have got experience in the oil and gas industry. So, we had to sit down and have a look and say, well, how can we get local people onto the rig? We don't want to put people into a situation where they don't have the skills or they could end up in a dangerous situation. So we identified the areas where we feel that we can bring new people on who've never been in an oil rig before, and we can develop them, train them, and and have them working there in a nice, safe and comfortable environment. So with a view to that, we sort of formulated a long-term plan. We're still obviously tendering for the next phase of the work for us, but we've sort of put a longer-term plan together about how we're looking to handle it if we're going to be here for a longer duration. And we identified the positions that we would like to start with just now, and we'll see how it all works out. So we've got some administrators on board. We identified some possible potential to put people into administrators' role. They basically assist the OIM with the safety cards. They do all the helicopters, the manifest, the POB, and just generally, assist with administration duties around the rig. it's a very important function, of course, and you have to be well organised. So we had to, look for the right type of people who had the proper computer skills, the kind of organisation skills that we need, and we're training them on the rig, as we go along. So that's the first part. The next part of it was the catering crew, the catering staff, the stewards that are needed to maintain the kind of hotel services. We can have up to 180 people on the rig during busy periods, and all those cabins have to be looked after, they have to be cleaned, the accommodation, it all has to be kept in a tip-top condition, hygienic. In the galley, have to feed all these people, 4 times a day, so there's a lot of work, and there's 15, 16 people work in that department to maintain the rest of the vessel for the remainder of the 180 people. So that was the other area where we've put some people into just now, and finally we've decided that we could put some painters on the vessel, and although that's more of an outside type of task and probably exposed to a little bit more of the environment outside on the vessel, it's a job where we can bring the people into and make sure that they can work safely there.
Through Eldorado Offshore, 2 painters from Berbice were afforded the opportunity to practice their trade on board the Steno. Brady Trim, who had been a painter for over 30 years, remarked that the experience offshore has been different.
Well, on land, it's kind of stable, but at the sea, it's different. I find it exciting.
For Preston Fredericks, a painter for 5 years, the experience was unlike anything he ever experienced.
Yes, the experience was great. I enjoy it. I enjoy everything on board.
These local employees work on a shift system. They spend a specified number of days offshore, return to shore for rest before heading back out to sea.
So far, all the people that went out offshore are settling in quite well. We don't seem to have any major issues. And I'm hoping that they'll enjoy the environment out there. For people who've never been on the rig, it really is a nice living environment. They've got plenty of things to do to keep themselves going. They've got the Wi-Fi, they've got the satellite television, there's sauna, gymnasiums. Although they're working 12 hours a day, if they can find some time in their spare time to use some of these facilities, then it'll be good.
If you'd like to know how your skills can be used in the oil and gas industry, simply contact Eldorado Offshore.
Our front desk, our recruitment desk at 23 Breakdown, you just need to come in, speak to our personnel there. The girls will be able to tell you what it is we're looking for, what the prerequisites are. You put together your package, and we take it from there. It is a very rigid system, though, recruitment and selection process. We vet them before we even accept it. They need to have references, police clearances, even a copy of a recent medical so that we can see where they're coming from. Details of their employment history the last 5 years. Comes in, we vet it, we charge nothing for it because this is our way of ensuring that local content is included in all of the oil and gas development.
Thank you for watching. Join us next week to find out how one local shipping company, Munishwars, is aiming for 100% Guyanese employment as it serves as Exxon's onshore base.